Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I don't know about you guys, but we've had lots of snow. We've been housebound a little bit for a couple of days. I believe this afternoon we're venturing out. I'm going my way to see a client. Marian's going her way to do what she needs to do. So I wanted to talk about affirmations because I find with my clients it's probably the single most misunderstood thing. Thing is probably not the correct word for it. And I had someone had suggested to have a sort of slideshow to put up, which I have created, but I don't know how to access it now without closing everything down. So I guess I have to go back to my learning tapes to figure out how that goes. So we're going to talk it through a little bit. Some of you may be familiar with my loving self affirmations or self-development affirmations, which are basically the same ones. I'm going to run through them first of all, and just you'll see how simple they are. And they were affirmations that I created over a number of, probably a couple of years actually, working through what I was hearing and learning at the time. So we're looking at the 1980s when this all began to come into being. And first of all, I love me was one. I didn't love me at all. And so I worked on I love me. Then I realized I didn't trust me, so I worked on I trust me. Then I realized I needed to feel loved, so I started working on I am loved. So I would say I love me, I trust me, I am loved, and then I got into I am lovable. As time went on a little bit, I added I am worthy and I deserve, kind of added on to that. And the reason why that was because I wasn't maybe as creating as well as I would like to, so I wanted to create a little more. So I wanted to know I was worthy. And then I started to realize there's some other ones I had in there too, that I was beautiful and I was brilliant. But then I realized I loved myself. My energy of loving myself was coming up, but I didn't like myself necessarily in certain circumstances. So I began to also add to my list of I like myself. And then probably one of the most significant ones was the I forgive myself. And I have become, as some of when you listen to the talking about wealth, one of the aspects in there is forgiveness. I became a very big proponent in forgiving myself for things that I'd done during the day, for thoughts I might have had, for all sorts of elements. And I forgive myself became a large part of what I was doing and what I was creating and how that was working. So that became a large part of me. And then I finished up with I am me. So the months go by and long time goes by, and I could say these. Now I'm going to say the subtitle for this is the true value of affirmations. What I discovered was that very often I would make a comment to myself affirming I love me, and a little voice would crop up and say, no, you don't, or you're not worth it, or something similar. And I'm just going to adjust the top just a little bit. There we go. And so consequently, as I began to work, I began to realize these little thought forms that were going on, number one, or feeling I might have that just didn't sit right in my body, were not agreeing with this. And also at the time I was beginning to learn about energy releasing and letting go. So I began to incorporate that. So when I had an affirmation and I said, I love me, and I had a little voice that said, no, you don't, I would look for that little voice and pull it out like a weed and dissolve it. I would usually just send it off to the sun or to have it dissolve. So I began to work really well. So after a while, these were really good. And then one day, something interesting happened. I had my hands on my knees. Now, those who know me personally know I've had some knee surgeries and things like that. So knees have always been an issue. They're a genetic issue in our family, actually, but that's another story. So I ran through my affirmations and I realized I was having all this opposition. Opposition? I have worked to being able to say these, no problem. Opposition, what's going on? Then I realized we carry things in different parts of our body. So what I began doing was, you won't be able to see me full body here, but I put my hands on my head and I would run through my affirmations. I put my hands around my throat and in my midriff, down on my waist, hips, knees, ankles, feet. And what I began to find that different parts of my body would have reactions to the different affirmations that I was saying. And they would be quite different. And some of them would have different thought forms totally. And so I spent quite a bit of time what I call clearing the different parts of my body. Now, this actually eventually transcribed into a lot of the transformation work I did, what I do now, which I find that we hold beliefs, attitudes, and judgments in different systems, different parts and different aspects of ourselves. So this all began with my affirmations. Now, we all probably have had and read all the affirmation book, Heal Your Body, Heal Yourself type thing. Right at the back there, in one paragraph, it says, the best aspect of affirmations is to discover what does not agree with it. Something like that, I might be paraphrasing. But basically, I'm reading exactly what I've discovered. That the power of affirmations is not so much the saying them, it is to find what is opposing them, what is stopping you, what is blocking you from creating exactly what it is that you're wanting to do. So I found that, first of all, that became, and I began to add all sorts of different things at different times and find out where I was going, but always looking for what opposes that, whether it's a thought, whether it is a feeling. So it is, what you're going to think of as affirmations, are statements of what you are wanting or what you're affirming. So what you want for yourself, which you don't have, or you're affirming that you're maintaining what you have, affirming that. I just recently had a client who was telling me she wants a new job, and she was telling me how she was framing that in her mind. And anyway, make a long story short, I ended up giving her a whole new affirmation to work with. And that is something I have done with people, is find an affirmation and give them a prescription. Or I do that with prayer work too. I give them a prayer and give them a prescription to go with it. In other words, it could be 2 times a day for 3 weeks, and then one time a day for 1 week or something. And so that because you're building up what we call a thought form. Thought forms are what are created, how you create your world, because they're going out all the time. And we talked about this earlier in one of the other ones, about how thoughts are important. They're the basis, and we're thinking all the time. And we can't watch every thought. We just cannot. Otherwise, we would be totally neurotic. But we can take time to observe for a wee while every day and learn what our basic thought form strategy is. Now, if you're an empath like me, very often what happens when you get around a person, you start absorbing their thought forms, never mind their energy, because that too, but their thought forms as well. And if you do not know what your own thought form process is, what you'll find is thoughts start creeping in and slipping in. And as I have also mentioned before, that other people's energy does not care about you, so it doesn't easily transform. So you've got to really isolate those things. But anyway, that is kind of the next step. But I wanted to lead on also, and I've talked about John Randolph Price's book, the little green book on abundance. In the very back part of his book, so often I find things that support or give me information are always written at the back, where often people have stopped reading. He gives a whole lot of statements that he used when they were having some financial crises in their lives. And I like them so much, I printed them out, and especially the first 3, I said to myself for quite a long time. I'm just going back to beginning to do that. So the first one that I really love is this: I am the spirit of infinite plenty, individualized. I am the spirit of infinite plenty, individualized. Just imagine, think about that. The spirit of infinite plenty within the whole universe is individualized with me. And I found that was the one I really worked with a lot, and I was feeling really, really good about a lot of things at that time when I was really using them. The second one was, I am boundless abundance in radiant expression. I am boundless. I am boundless. In other words, nothing bind. I have so much abundance and radiant expression through me. The thing is to claim it, and I'm going to talk, reminding myself to talk a bit about that in a minute. What is expressed in love must be returned in full measure. And that's that basic principle of what you put out, you get back. If you come from a love base, if you say these affirmations and know they're true for you and it has a love energy behind it to move through it, you will find that it will come back in full measure. And it's because love is that creative energy that flows, as I always say, through the universe, and to be able to use that. Now, what goes in, I'm going to repeat that one again. What is expressed in love must be returned in full measure. Therefore, wave after wave of visible money flows to me now. Now, you've got to be open to receive this. There's a side issue. I don't have any affirmations about that because when he goes on, he's got a whole list. We want, I know some of you want, they see in money as the end of the beginning, but really it's what it is you're wanting. But we have that money coming in and seeing it. And I have a story that I have shared often. When I was producing the psychic fairs, I was in Calgary when I used to do 2 shows a year in Calgary, along with many others. And one of my exhibitors came running in really, really, really excited. I mean, excited. It was like she could hardly get her words out quick enough. She was so happy to see me and share this with me. And basically she said, Norma, I've run into this new thing and I just know it's going to bring results. She said, I've got all this gold tinkling around my head. It's just around. And I thought, oh, well, that's really great. Good. But you know what? Bring it into you. Bring the gold into you, not out there. It's out there. Yeah, that means it's out there. But you need to own it. You need to bring it in. Needless to say, she did do that. And she went on to do very, very well in this new endeavor that she was working with. And that's what happens with a lot of people is not only if you're saying an affirmation about what you're wanting, and you've got parts of you that don't necessarily believe it, number one. Number two is that you're not embodying it. And that's that love element. That is the bringing in and know that you deserve it. That's why I have in here. I deserve the best. I deserve all that because I'm worthy of it. Often you can make little play of putting things together and have that work for you so that really that it comes to an understanding of how it works and what it is. So John Randolph Price is probably the last element of him, but there was one thing also that came into my life that I learned when I was learning this meditation technique. I wouldn't even call it a meditation technique, but it is through some Shia monks because they're actually situated in Spain now, I believe. I'm just going to tell you what it taught me. I'm not a teacher of it. I'm not telling you everything about it. This is very basic. But for me, it really helped clear a lot of the sort of remaining obstacles. And the first thing they talked about was your right and left brain. And that very often people will give you a word like God or, love or whatever. But what does that energy, that universal energy mean to you? What is the word you use for it? Now, I have a lot of words that I use at different times. For me, when I feel that universal love energy, it's like a divine. It's just a divine expression. It's wonderful. So when I began to work with this particular exercises they had, and I went through their basic program, and I could have definitely gone on and done the teacher training, but that was not my calling. But I certainly love what it is, and I recommend it to a lot of people when they were around our area teaching this. There were 3, I'm just going to talk about 3 main elements. One is praise, one is thank, which is gratitude, and one was around love. So you find a name that you want to call this universal. I'm just going to use the basic God. And remember, if you have trouble with the word God, please go back and look at the words, what they did on that and do a word chain on that. You don't want any word having a reaction in your system because you're going to hear words that will trigger you. There's no need for it. So praise God for my life. And by saying that and let that sink into you and letting, again, what opposes that come on out, it makes a huge difference. Because what you're doing is and this is a little bit of a different affirmation, but it is affirming on the inside. Praise God for my life. Thank God for my world, like what is out there. And actually it was body world, but we'll use world. Thank God for my world, largeness of it, all the things that are happening out there. Grateful. Gratitude is so big. And often when I'm working with affirmations, I say, I am grateful for, and claiming what it is that you want to affirm. And then for me, the best one of all, the one that has given me hope when I'm really feeling down and out and don't know where on earth I'm going, because I'm like everybody else at times. God loves me. And when you say that, God loves me, really feel it and know it. That energy that is out there in everything. It is in every cell. And that's one of the elements I used to love when I listened to this for the first time, that every cell, a molecule, no matter how big or small it is, has the same amount of empty space. And I believe Einstein said, that's God. It's love. It is the energy that makes up our planet. Whether it's a tree that you're talking to or hugging, and if you haven't hugged a tree when it's springtime again up here, you can go out and hug one, listen to it, talk to it. They'll tell you things. It can be in the table that we've got here, the kitchen table. It could be in the water glass. Every molecule has that space. 90%, mostly, it is made up. When you realize that this energy absolutely loves you, for you, whatever it is, there's no judgment. That's what we're taught. It's all judgment, where you need to feel guilty and we should be doing right. We need to listen. We need to know who we are and what we're there for and what we're doing. You are the key. What you're thinking, how you're saying your affirmations, what you are affirming to yourself in the direction of what you're wanting to do and how you want to do it. You can write them out. Now I'm going to tell you another little story. There was a time when I studied with the Science of Mind people, 8 years of study. I actually became a minister for a short time with them, even though I was still doing metaphysical things. So I was visiting a friend of mine in another town, and we went to, because he goes to the church, local Science of Mind church, which is, I forget the name of the spiritual center, I think. As we go on in, what ends up happening, they're looking for a new minister. And they start affirming the minister they want. Now, I happened to be there a year earlier speaking there, and they were doing the same thing. And as we left, I turned to my friends and said, "You're never going to get a minister with that affirmation. Way too long. If I was God listening to that, I would say, what the heck? What do they want?" Because it wasn't clear and it wasn't concise. It didn't say something like, "Thank you for the new minister that will serve us wonderfully well." That's all they needed to say. They went on and explained all the bits and pieces they wanted this minister to be. Keep it short, sweet, knowing, and say it with feeling. And make sure that there's no part of your body, whether it's a thought in your head or a feeling, opposes it. Go through the motions of every part of your body. What is it that you're really wanting? And make sure it's really what you're wanting and not a step towards what you're wanting. What is it that you really, really want? Over the years, when I get concentrated on this, I've been able to create some really miracles. And a lot of that is by letting go, do my firm, and let go. Now, I have to tell you a little story here about letting go and let God. I don't think I might have said this during the Principles of Wealth talk. I'm not sure, because it came up in that time period. Everyone at the time was talking about letting go and letting God. So Norma's got to let go and let God. I'd already had some contact with the energy. I knew the love energy. I knew it was there. Oh, so I just surrendered to that. That's fine. In 3 months, my life was a mess. So I went, there's something not right with this picture. Let me take a you look at that picture, what's going on here? So I'm looking at this letting go and letting God. And what I realized was the mistake I had made was I didn't put any goal. I didn't affirm what I wanted. I didn't give any idea. There was no direction of what I wanted in my life. Consequently, it was hell, to be honest. It was everything was going mishmash. I realized the letting go and letting God was how it showed up. If I want this, it is not my business how it's going to show up. I've got to trust. That's what I have. I trust me because I'm connected to that universe. I trust me to have it show up in the way that I want it to show up. Things began to change very quickly. Once I began to say, oh, well, my goal is this, I want that. I was running a business, a big business at the time, and it just was crazy. And I went, hold on a minute. There are goals we've got to have. We've got to have intentions. We need things of what we're wanting. So let's have that come in and be the way we want it to be. And so that's what we want. That's how it worked. So I'm just going to go run through these, my basic affirmations again. I do have that on a CD. I believe I can send that out. And again, if you wanted one, you can always. I just for you guys, because the e-transfer is a basic 10, you can have it for 10. I also actually somebody else wanted something, and I said energy release and the affirmations, $15. So a little bit of a price there. So let's go. I love me. I trust me. I am loved. Feel it in your body as you go and just let it sit down. Give yourself some time for the word and the feeling to sit. So we're going to go again. I love me. I trust me. I am loved. I am lovable. I am worthy. I deserve. I like myself. I forgive myself. I am me. And John Randall Price's from the Green Abundance book. I am the spirit of infinite plenty individualized. Now these are more, they're like affirmations, but they're more of a statement to activate what it is we want. I am boundless abundance in radiant expression. What is expressed in love must be returned in full measure. Therefore, wave after wave of visible money flows to me now. Be grateful for that. And then I'm just going to close this part off, and I'll open up for some questions if there's any. I didn't have any questions. Praise God for my life. Thank God for my world. So if there's anybody here that wants to unmute themselves and ask me a question, please feel free to do that. If not, I'm going to, if anyone doesn't speak up in 2 seconds, I'm going to just let you know that I'm actually leaving next Tuesday for my journey to New Zealand. I will have to get over my jet lag. I have some clients that are looking forward to seeing me down there. I'm available for that, but also I will work out when I can come and send out an email and see you all again. I want to thank you and for sharing and being here. This has been a great learning curve, 6 weeks. Obviously, I haven't got it all down perfectly yet, but we will. Bless your hearts. Thank you.